This is Rob Tebbutt for ID Boxing. Delighted to be joined by heavyweight prospect Sol Dacres. We're here in rainy old Earlsfield in South London. How are you, Sol?
I'm all good, man. Yourself?
I'm very well, thanks. Very well. Been a little while since I've caught up with you. You've just telling me from off camera that you've been out to Germany to do a bit of sparring recently. How was that experience?
Yeah, it was good. Went there for 2 weeks, sparred a couple of German pros. They had their show coming up. With no coach, went out there myself, gumshoe, head guard, and just got to work for a couple of weeks.
What was that like? I mean, I'm always keen to speak to fighters in the early stages of their career when they kind of take themselves away to these like crazy back end places. I've spoken to people about going to kind of the middle of nowhere, really. Ukraine, Germany, America. What was the whole experience like for you? Talk me through it.
Yeah, do you know what? It was good. It was a nice place, to be fair. Coming off GB, I've been to them back end places, and it's been a bit rough. So that's why I didn't really bat an eyelid when they said you want to go over there. I thought, yeah, just get some sparring in. I was comfortable to go without my coach, and just get some sparring in, get some rounds in, and get some good experience.
You return to the ring next week. We were just speaking there in Nottingham. Must be excited to get back out there and hopefully continue your busy start to your professional career.
Yeah, that's it. Staying busy and active now in my career. That's the main thing. Early on, get myself progressing quickly. I'm going into a 10 rounder now. I'm in my 5th fight. We're a bit ahead of schedule of what we was planning. So it's good for me to just keep stepping up and staying active and keep progressing.
A lot of talk at the minute around heavyweights and how far certain heavyweights should be moved, and kind of matching is kind of a hot topic at the minute. Do you leave that down to your team? Are you the type of fighter to go to your team and say, look, I want to be moved this way, or I want to take this type of opponent, or would you leave it to them?
Yeah, I leave it to them. They come to me and say, what do you think about fighting such and such? And I'll just say, yeah, okay, I'm not bothered. I'll fight anybody, So I'll leave it to them. I have an input, but really I'll fight anybody. I'm confident in my abilities, and I'm just ready to go.
Does that come from GB, kind of that amateur schooling where you turn up on the day, you find out who you're fighting, you get in the ring and then you fight?
Yeah, exactly that. You go on GB, you go to a tournament, you don't know who you're fighting. They're all good people, and they're all like national champions. It's international boxing, so I'm used to just turning up fighting the best of other countries, so I'm not really too fazed by it.
We are here today. I'm just seeing a man over there, ex-GB himself, the juggernaut Joe Joyce, preparing for his fight with Joshua-Parker. Lots of talk around the heavyweight division at a minute, but let's start there. How do you see that fight playing out next weekend in Manchester? Of course, you're not going to be able to watch it. Might catch it the next day, but you're of course boxing on the same night. How does that fight go?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough night's work for Parker. I've sparred Joe a lot over the years, and it's going to be a lot of pressure he's going to put on him and apply on him, and if he does get through the rounds, it's going to be a very tough fight, and Joe's going to keep coming. I think Parker's talking about stopping him. He's not going to stop him from what the record suggests. And I can see Joyce, if not stopping him mid to late rounds, he's definitely going to be, putting a good beating on him, I think.
I'm always interested to speak to people who've been in the ring with Joe Joyce. I mean, from the outside looking in, and some people will look at him and I don't think people quite understand what it's like to be in the ring with somebody who is so relentless. What's it like being on the receiving end?
Yeah, I wouldn't sound too much on the receiving end, I'll back my own caliber, but you know what it is, it's a constant pressure. I'm for a heavyweight, I am fit as fuck, to be honest, and I do 5 rounds with Joe, and it's like 10 rounds with anyone else. The pressure's constant, and I'm really fit for a heavyweight, so it's just a hard night work for anybody.
How hard does he punch? Again, he sort of I always refer to him. He sort of has that George Foreman power where it doesn't look like it's not snappy necessarily, but everything he throws, it looks like it hurts. It's all thudding power. How hard does he punch?
Yeah, it's like you say, it's like a thudding power. It clubs away at your head and body. Big clubbing shots. He's a big, heavy set guy, and that they sort of take the toll over the rounds. The way Joe works, it's like body and head, and he's got, like you say, that thudding power where it sort of it stays with you throughout the next few rounds.
We've seen in the past, Joe, I mean, for his own admission, he kind of walks people down. If he doesn't feel like there's any threat coming back, he walks them down. We've seen him against Daniel Dubois, get behind the jab, show that amateur schooling. Do you think we see more of that against Joshua-Parker?
Yeah, I think Joe's one of them where he knows he can walk people down. He's got the toughness. He can take a dig, and he gives a dig as well. But he's always working technically. In being with Ismail Salas, the coach, he's always working on technical things all the time, and something that can't be underestimated with his game. He is really technical, and he will pick his shots. He doesn't just throw aimlessly. He'll pick and pick apart people, and then he'll start going through the gears.
What does Joe Joyce have to be wary of from Joshua-Parker?
Yeah, Parker, he's got fast hands, Parker, and I think he's going to be very sharp in the early rounds. He's got quick hands, um, and he's very sharp. So he's got to be wary early on, not to take too many shots off him, and just pick his shots and open him up. Don't rush it. Don't walk into shots, and don't square up into him.
Back to yourself, you mentioned there boxing your first 10 rounder. Is this kind of a signal of intent for you? Are you looking at title sooner rather than later in heavyweight division?
Yeah, definitely. You're in boxing, you want to start putting belts around your waist, don't you? So it's something that I want to do and progress and get myself some silverware on the board and get myself some titles and keep pushing on to bigger titles. It's what I want to do, definitely.
Back to the heavyweight division, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Oleksandr Usyk. One day they're fighting him, one day he's fighting him. Today, at least, it looks like Anthony Joshua is going to fight Tyson Fury in early December. How does that fight go, in your opinion?
It's interesting to say, you'd back Fury at the minute. He's a smart man, Fury, with his mind games. He's soon to call out Joshua after back of 2 losses when he probably sees he's on a little of a mental slide. So he's probably trying to get one up on him and catch him while he's cold, sort of thing. But I think Joshua can get himself fired up for Fury, and he can go either way, to be honest. You're edging towards Fury with current track record, but it'll be a good fight.
You mentioned Joshua's 2 losses, of course, both coming against Oleksandr Usyk, his 2 most recent losses at least. How impressed were you with Oleksandr Usyk's performance out in Saudi Arabia a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, Usyk, he's phenomenal. Usyk is, his stamina levels, you can see that even though he's bulked up a bit to come from cruiserweight to heavyweight, he's kept his attributes, which are his stamina, his technique, his skill, his movement. And, he's a very tough man to beat, and he's very technical. And he's very fit. He never stopped moving from all 12 rounds. He's always on his feet, moving his head, moving his feet. And, he's an outstanding fighter.
When you're watching somebody like that, somebody who's been a master right the way through the amateurs and into the pro game, how much do you take from watching somebody like that perform at that level?
Yeah, I'm someone that's always watched, other fighters, through history and study the game. So I'm always studying people, whether it's current or past. And someone like Usyk, I'm not a southpaw or anything, but you take things, you think, okay, his head movement, little things. And, of course, you study these people and see what you can take from it yourself.
How does Tyson Fury versus Oleksandr Usyk go as a fight?
Yeah, I think Fury has got more of a chance in terms of outboxing Usyk. If not matching him on a boxing level, the size difference should take over, and I think he can push him back, but he'll probably be a bit more confident to go through the gears with Usyk. He's fought Wilder 3 times. He's been down, with one of the biggest punches. He's got back up, so I don't think he's got that much of a fear factor of getting hit, Fury. So I think he'll be confident against Usyk.
Okay, well, Sol Dacres, always a pleasure to catch up with you. Let's finish off on the fight that I am here to discuss today. Of course, Joyce-Parker versus Joe Joyce next weekend live on BT Sport Box Office. Of course, going to watch that after we watch your fight. How does the main event end next week in Manchester?
Yeah. I can see Joyce with I think, unanimous decision. Parker's a very tough man. He doesn't get stopped. Don't think he's ever been stopped, has he? And barely been dropped. So I think it's going to be a 12-round decision for Joyce. Just going to overwhelm him.
And what are we going to see from you next week in Nottingham?
Me, I'm looking for a stoppage victory within about, I reckon, 5-6 rounds. I should be getting him out there as well. Nice and early, then I can watch Joe's fight.
Sounds like a plan to me. Sol Dacres, always a pleasure. Thanks very much for speaking to ID Boxing. Catch up with you soon.
Nice one. Thank you very much. Cheers.